The flashing red and blue lights cut through the quiet afternoon like a blade. From my phone, I watched the feed from my home security camera. 2 officers standing on my porch, and right between them was Karen Whitfield, the HOA president, clutching a shiny key like it was a crown jewel. She was screaming at my locked door, face-red spit, flying completely unaware that my 12-year-old son Leo was inside, recording everything. What she didn't realize was that in a few minutes, the only person who'd be answering questions wasn't me. It was her. My name's Marcus Chen. I'm a single dad and a software engineer. 3 months ago, Leo and I moved into Willowbrook Estates, a quiet, gated community that looked like a postcard. Perfect lawns, smiling neighbors, a lake that shimmered in the afternoon sun. I thought I'd found peace, safety, stability. What I didn't realize was that peace had a price, and that price came with a clipboard, a smug smile, and the name Karen Whitfield. Karen wasn't just the HOA president, she was the HOA. She treated that title like a badge of divine authority, judge, jury, and sheriff of the cul-de-sac. The very first week, she cornered me in my own driveway, smiling like a realtor on camera, but talking like a warden off duty. She told me sweetly that she was concerned seeing my son walk home alone from the bus stop. Single fathers, she said, sometimes struggle with proper supervision. I remember just standing there gripping the grocery bags, forcing a polite smile. "He's 12, I said. "He's smart, independent, and I work from home. He's fine." That should have ended it. But Karen wasn't the kind of woman who accepted being told no. A week later, she emailed me a rule update claiming the HOA bylaws prohibited leaving any child under 16 home alone. That rule didn't exist anywhere, but when I asked for the document, she said it was being revised. Spoiler, that revision never came. Soon, she started showing up everywhere. Her silver SUV would slow roll past my house every day when the school bus dropped off. Sometimes, she'd park across the street pretending to check her phone, eyes glued to my front door. It got creepy fast. One day, Leo asked Dad, "Why is that lady always watching our house?" That hit me harder than I expected. It's one thing for an adult to get harassed, but when your kid starts to notice it when he starts to feel unsafe in his own home, that's when it stops being annoying and starts being personal. I began documenting everything. Dates, times, screenshots from my security system, even dashcam footage from my car. Part of me thought I was being paranoid. Another part whispered, "You'll need this someday." Turns out that whisper was right. It happened on a Tuesday in October, a day I'll never forget. I was on a Zoom call with clients in Japan trying to explain a server migration issue when my phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then again. My security app flashed front door lock, multiple failed entries. My stomach dropped. I switched to the live feed and there she was, Karen, standing on my porch shoving a key into my lock, yelling through the door. "Open this door right now," she shouted. "This is a welfare check. I have authority as HOA president." Leo was home alone. I could hear her voice through the speaker system, shrill, commanding. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely think. But Leo, God, that kid, he remembered exactly what to do. He hit the panic button that locked the house down and turned on every camera. Then he called me, voice steady but tight. "Dad, that Karen lady's trying to get in. She says she has a master key." "You did the right thing, buddy," I said. "Don't open the door. I'm calling 911. What I didn't know was that Karen had already beaten me to it. She called the cops, first told them there was an abandoned child possibly in danger, claimed she was performing a community welfare check. She made herself sound like a hero. When I got through to 911, the dispatcher said, "Officers are already en route." I tore off my headset, grabbed my keys, and sped home. Every red light felt like an eternity. By the time I turned into Willowbrook Estates, the neighborhood looked like a scene out of a cop show. Flashing lights, curious neighbors peeking through curtains, and in the middle of it all, Karen, hands on hips, lecturing 2 officers about negligent parenting. She pointed as soon as she saw me. "That's him. That's the father who left his son alone." I walked right up, calm as I could. "Officers," I said, "I live here." Then I pulled out my actual key, inserted it, and opened the door in one smooth turn. Karen's master key dangled uselessly from her hand. Inside, Leo sat at the kitchen table, homework spread out like it was any normal Tuesday. He looked up, smiled faintly, and said, "Hey, Dad." The officers checked him over, healthy, calm, plenty of food, a phone, everything fine. Then I turned on the TV and played the security footage. The room went quiet. It showed Karen on the porch, shoving her key into the lock, pacing, muttering about neglect, trying for 10 whole minutes before she ever called 911. Officer Thompson crossed his arms. "Ma'am," he said, "where did you get that key?" Karen hesitated. "It's a master key for emergencies. HOA protocol." "Which HOA policy?" "Well, it's authorized for safety checks." He didn't blink. "Did you copy that key yourself?" Her confident smile twitched. "I borrowed it. During a maintenance inspection. For safety." The officers looked at each other. "That's not safety. That's breaking and entering." I pulled out my folder. "Here's what she's been doing for weeks," I said, handing over printouts. "Fake rule notices. Daily surveillance. Neighbors have footage too." They scrolled through the files, expression hardening by the second. Officer Martinez finally turned to her. "Mrs. Whitfield, filing a false emergency report is a serious offense, and duplicating a resident's key without permission. That's criminal intent." For the first time, Karen didn't have words. Her lips moved, but nothing came out. Her face went pale. Outside, a few neighbors had gathered, pretending to water their lawns to get the mail, but everyone was watching. Phones up, recording. And just like that, the Queen of Willowbrook started to crumble. The officers wrote citations on the spot for unlawful entry and false reporting. When they handed her the papers, I swear the look on her face shifted from rage to something almost fear. I told them calmly, "I'll be pressing charges. My lawyer will follow up." The word lawyer drained what little color she had left. That night after the cops left, the adrenaline wore off. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the footage replaying on loop. My hands were still shaking. I thought about pulling Leo out of the community, selling the house, just walking away. What kind of place lets someone like that have power? For a moment, I felt small, powerless. Maybe Karen was right. Maybe I didn't belong here. Maybe single dads really do struggle to protect their kids. But then I saw Leo's drawing taped to the fridge, a doodle of the two of us standing by our house smiling. The words under it read, "Home." No, I wasn't running. Not from her, not from anyone. The next morning, I called my attorney, Jacob Morrison, an HOA law specialist who'd spent his career dismantling petty tyrants in cul-de-sacs across the state. When I explained what happened, he chuckled softly and said, "Oh, I love these cases. Let's burn her rule book." And that's exactly what we did. The HOA scheduled an emergency meeting a week later. The clubhouse was packed. Residents who hadn't shown up in years were suddenly concerned citizens. Word had spread that the great Karen Whitfield had been cited by the police. Karen tried to act unfazed, but you could see the cracks, the trembling hands, the forced smile. I took a seat with Jacob beside me, a thick binder on the table. When it was my turn to speak, Jacob stood and presented everything like a courtroom drama. Unauthorized key duplication, false reporting, harassment, stalking. He even played the footage. The room buzzed with whispers. Karen's allies squirmed. Tom Bradley, the treasurer, spoke first. "Karen, you told us that new welfare check policy was approved." Karen glared at him. "It was for safety." Sarah Kim, the secretary, flipped through her notes. "Actually, the minutes show the board voted against granting home entry authority." You could have heard a pin drop. Then Jacob looked around and said, "I move for a vote of no confidence in the president." The count was unanimous. Even her usual supporters raised their hands. Karen's chair screeched as she shot up. "You'll regret this. This neighborhood will fall apart without me." And then she stormed out, heels clicking like gunfire across the tile. But it didn't end there. The police reports moved to the county attorney's desk. Karen was officially charged with false emergency reporting, a $5,000 fine, and unlawful entry via key duplication classified as a misdemeanor. Her real estate license suspended pending review. In civil court, the judge didn't hold back. He called her actions a pattern of harassment rooted in abuse of authority, ordered her to pay $15,000 in damages and legal fees. And when my attorney requested a restraining order, the judge signed it on the spot. Karen Whitfield was forbidden from coming within 100 feet of our home. I still remember her face when the bailiff read the verdict. The same woman who once strutted around giving orders now stood trembling, her designer mascara running the weight of her arrogance finally crushing her. And I just stood there, quiet, not angry anymore, just done. Karen had spent years controlling everyone around her, using rules as weapons. But that day when she tried to open my door with her so-called master key, she unlocked the one door she could never close again, the door to her own downfall. Sometimes the people who scream about order and safety are the ones you need protection from.